Hi, we're Chris and Teresa, and we would love to guide you on your fiber arts journey. We own a successful fiber processing mill and online needle felting business, experienced at raising all fiber animals, and have renovated a 100-year-old school into a fiber arts retreat center.
Processing, needle felting, yarn, roving, fiber animals, and sustainable agriculture are all topics discussed here. Think of this as your one-stop shop for advice, information, tips, and getting your questions answered on all things from farm to needle. So pull up a seat, make sure you're cozy, and get ready to be inspired while you learn. This is EweTube.
Welcome to EweTube 185.
Welcome.
Welcome.
And we don't have an interview with an employee today because
It's blizzarding.
we had to send said employee.
Oh, I smell food.
Heidi's making pizza for us.
We're in the
smells so
midst
good.
of a 3-day a week-long weather system, and tomorrow is supposed to start a blizzard warning for 2 days, so we had to cancel Thursday, and Heidi had ingredients that had to be made, so we're like, okay, we'll eat pizza.
So we're eating
And we
that.
smell it. It smells so good. Yeah.
It
Anyway,
should come here any minute.
any minute.
And it was snowing a lot, so I was thinking I had to get home, but it stopped.
It stopped, and it's
And
not
it's
blowing. So tomorrow,
really
the wind is supposed
icy
to-
out there.
It is. It's horrible. Oh my goodness.
If I drive slow,
Oh my
I'll get
goodness.
home.
Yes. So we have no employee interview. We will touch on that again next week. We have 2 employees left that are willing. We have 3 employees that aren't willing. So be it. I was informed that my mother is one of those said employees, and she informed me that her cat is also busy for the rest of its life.
So this past week we went to South Dakota to get some wool. We have used all of our wool and our purchased wool.
Yes.
And we don't shear till the end of March, and so we get some cordell, and
We use it for some of the products that we make, and
we found some
Yeah.
in South Dakota, and so we went to get it, and then we did a little interview with her, and we're going to share it here.
here it is. All right. We are here in a lambing barn. We are so excited, and we have with us Lacey Peterson, in case, Mom, you was a little too loud there. Yes, and okay, just why don't you start with just tell us a little bit about yourself, where we are located, and whatnot.
Lacey Peterson. We raise Cordales, and we're actually just west of Redfield, South Dakota. And we have about 250 brood ewes that we run, and lamb twice a year in the January and February, and then in September and October.
You are a busy one.
Try.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, how long have you been doing this? How
Well,
did you get started? Because you were telling us beforehand you have 3 brothers.
I have 2 brothers, 1
brothers.
sister.
1 sister. Oh, yes. Right. Okay.
So Grandpa actually started in, I believe, like 1948, 52, somewhere in there. And that's when he first got sheep. And then they got the first Cordales, I believe, in 1958 for 25 head of Cordales and $25 a piece.
No way.
And then since then, we've pretty much had Cordales.
I love it. I love it. So how many total sheep do you have? Do you know, including your lambs? No. You got a lot, right?
There's 250 ewes, and then, fall lambs that are on the ground. There's about 120 of those. There's 10 herd bucks, and then there's 100 new lambs on the ground.
It's sheep zone out here. It's amazing. Amazing. Okay, and you raise Cordale, and do you show Cordale
We
as
do
well?
show Cordales.
Okay, very good. Very, very good. Okay, and how many acres do you have? Or do you run, you have cattle as well.
So we also have about 450 head of cows.
Okay.
And then there's about 3,000 acres of pasture land, 1,000 crop, and 1,000 hay. So about 5,000 acres.
Pretty good chunk. Pretty good chunk, yes. And, so you pretty much kind of all year round have something going on in the lambing barn here and there.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
as soon as these get done lambing, then honestly it gets cleaned out and turned into a show barn.
Oh,
So
very
then
good, yes.
All the show sheep, and we go to Ohio in May, so I'll have show sheep in here by middle March,
Wow.
getting ready for that. So,
Oh.
and then that's all summer long until we start lambing in
Oh my
September.
gosh. Oh my gosh. And speaking of lambing, we saw over here we've got your little bottle lamb area here.
Yeah.
So, how many about 100 ewes at a time is what you're
That's what
lambing
I'm
out?
at right now.
Okay, so what is your average as far as what you end up with bottle lambs generally?
It,
I mean, it varies.
yeah, in the spring it's more because they will have more multiple births in the spring.
Okay.
In the fall they actually normally only have twins or singles.
Okay.
You're gonna get a friend.
Good. Hi, baby sweet. I love it.
And so I'll have maybe 10 in the spring.
Okay.
But
Okay.
and then a lot of times, sometimes I'll go over to the other place where I take the ewes and lambs, and anything that's not doing good, I just bring them back here. So I mean, I end up with a lot more than I need to, but gotta keep them alive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, like, if you have wind, how long do you give the mom time? Do you pull them off right away if you think that they're not doing so good with mom, or if mom's a bad mom? How long do you give mom the opportunity to come around, or?
I mean, you just have to know on terms of the milk. If they're a little bit more shrunk in, I'll bottle them for maybe like 2 days and see how much they're drinking. And if the ewe's not, I mean, you just feel her bag, and if it's not good, then you just gotta pull them.
Okay.
And
Do you have a lot of like bad moms where they're like, just I don't want anything to do with that baby? Or Cordell's pretty good.
They've been pretty good. I have had like 2 this year that initially they just didn't want anything, and I would tie them up for 2 times that the lamb was drinking, and then they're like, okay, fine.
That's good. That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, where do you normally, because we are here to purchase some of this gorgeous Cordell wool, because we use this in some of our products. Where do you normally sell your wool if we wouldn't have come to buy it?
Normally we sell to Center of the Nation Wool out at Bellefouche.
Which is very common for the upper Midwest. Okay, and then you get so much per pound.
Yes.
And it's whatever the wool is going for market value.
And
okay.
it's total market value,
Yeah.
and who
What
knows?
they give you.
Yep.
Yeah. Understood. Cool. Okay, and you're married.
I am married.
Do you have kids?
I have 2 kids.
And ages?
6 and 2.
Oh. That's awesome.
So, and well, Braxton's 6, he's at school, and Addie's gonna be 3 April
yes.
1st.
Oh, yes.
So
Oh,
she's
fun
fun.
Fun age. And this is your job. This is your... And so now, as you were growing up in high school and whatnot, is this what you knew you wanted to do, is work the sheep and do that? You know, because you've got, Travis works at NDSU. He's the shepherd at NDSU. And then you have another brother that is a...
Junior high science teacher.
Yep.
And then Kayla's a nurse. And
Yep.
I always wanted to be somewhat involved in sheep in terms of, I didn't know. I did have an internship with American Land Board
okay.
when I went to college, and then an internship with Superior Farms out in California. And I mean, I wanted to be kind of, more into that part, but then I realized if I don't come home, then there's not going to be any sheep left. So,
Cool.
I figured, I need
Awesome.
to.
Awesome. So did you start work, I mean, were you married at the time that you came back, or?
No.
Okay. Because your husband seems to be equally on board. I mean, he
Yep.
seems very much,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we both just work together. And
yeah, that's awesome.
he does most of the work right
Which
now.
is nice.
So he takes care of pretty much everything at the farm, and
So he runs the cattle and everything too.
Yep.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh, you guys are busy. We know quite a number of gals that are as deep into raising sheep as you are, and we love it, and we think it's awesome. So we are honored to meet you and to see your setup.
And it's one of those things where it's so easy, and I mean, most nights the kids are out here, and I mean, luckily we have
Yep.
heaters in here too, and so we can crank the barn up to 60 degrees when it's negative 30 outside, and they can come in, and
That's pretty cool.
there's a bunch of toys and play in
That's pretty
here.
cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that all of us can do together and
Yeah.
not have to worry about safety of the kids, really.
Correct. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Do your rotational graze. You have so much pasture though, so.
So
Yeah.
our grazing is actually, the sheep get what is the calving pastures.
Okay.
So, I mean, and it's all just kind of right around the farm. And we do now I rotational graze because there's 3 calving pastures, and I only need really 1 pasture, and then I'll switch them and stuff. But there's so much pasture that it's just,
So you are rotational grazing. That
and
yeah.
they like
Yeah.
kochia weeds a lot. So that's what they want to eat.
Now onto the health of these and caring for deworming. What do you schedule them? Do you do fecals? Do you what's your schedule?
My deworming is, well, kind of learned from Dad, but we worm maybe once a year with just Dectomax. And sometimes I get it done, and sometimes we don't. But we really don't have a problem with it. I have a lot of neighbors that have had problems. And I mean, one specifically, and I mean, she is at that point, or has been for about a year now, where she is worming every 21 days. Because she had barber pole, I think. And,
That's
and so then she had to, and then we were talking I was talking with our vet, and she's like, probably best thing for you is that you haven't wormed a lot. So when you do worm, you don't have any resistance. But yeah, I mean, I just give them all a shot if I worm. Did have an issue with cluster or Campylobacter fetus jejuni that was resistant to antibiotics. And that was about 3 years ago. And that I lost about 70 lambs. I had 130 ewes I was lambing, and I mean,
heartbreaking.
that was a bad one. But I mean, we just sent in placentas and sent in lambs, and we got it figured out, and we got antibiotics that would work, and within 10 days we were having live lambs, and everything was better then. But it's hard.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. So lambs get creep. I mean, when I move them over to the other barn, as soon as we're done, they stay in the lambing barn for about a week or so, and in individual pens for about 2 days, and then get moved into group pens, and then I move them to the different farm, and then they can have access to creep feed at that point, and then try to wean them around 2 months or so.
And then a lot of breeders will flush. Tell us your opinion on this.
So I don't like flushing ewes because I prefer to have twins and singles rather than triplets. And so I would rather them kind of be a little bit or just not to flush them and just keep them out on pasture and whatever. And that way I can have 2 solid, strong twins or a really good single. And my ewes genetically will have more anyway. I mean, they're right around the 200% range or 180. So, I mean, you might as well just not flush them, and that way you can just have some solid
That's awesome.
twins rather than a whole bunch of triplets. But that's just me.
With a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lacey. That was awesome. It was so fun to be in a lambing barn again, and I'm sure for you, it's amazing because we were discussing earlier that I have lambed 1 lamb on our farm, and it's not something that I have done much, but it's something that anyone who raises sheep, when lambing season, you're there for 20 days, 30 days, whatever it is, until everybody lambs. And it's not like calving, and it's like you need to be there, and you need to.
They need extra attention.
Yeah.
Sheep do.
So it's amazing.
It was really fun
Yeah.
It's fun to visit with other
Producers,
shepherds
yeah.
and see what they do differently,
Yeah.
what they've experienced. So it's a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I loved it because I saw what you do in what she does as well. I mean, with her babies and bringing her she's got a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, I think, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. And so she would crank up the heat in the lambing barn and bring the kids out, with her, and they can play while she tends to the
cool.
lambs. And yeah, it was
Because
pretty
she lambs
neat.
earlier than I do. So I don't have any heat in the lambing barn.
No, but she has a really nice system.
She does, yes, very nice.
So yeah, it was fun. It was fun to go there. Now, can we go through this now?
Yeah.
Okay. We had dear Ann Custer. She is a sweetheart that we had come to the school. Oh my goodness, that was 2
A
years
while
ago.
ago.
Yeah. And we purchased from her these beautiful recycled brooches. Brooches?
She's also
Yep.
behind the pouch kit and course that
Absolutely.
that I did.
Yep.
She gave us the idea.
Yes. And so she sent us a new one. And the dear one sent us
The pattern, just
the
like she did last
pattern.
time.
God bless her. Oh my goodness. There's that.
And because we've had requests for larger pouches, so this is more like a purse.
Yep.
And then on the front of the purse, or
This is a little mini version that
anywhere
she did.
on the purse, you can felt
Yeah.
whatever you want.
You could embellish it in any way. And the dear one also, I think it's in here, also sent a strap for the purse. And so now we have been talking with Kathleen.
With the inkle loom.
With the
She's
inkle
been working
loom.
on the inkle loom.
Yep, and this would be a
to
perfect project
weave
for that.
these beautiful, they would make perfect straps.
Perfect straps for this precious, and this is like a little mini version.
She will be able, so we can teach people how to make this.
Yep.
She can teach people how to make a matching strap on the inkle loom.
Yep, absolutely.
It's adorable.
It is. It is so well done. It is so well done. So, Anne, thank you so much.
Can't
oh
believe
my
that
goodness.
you're sending us these ideas.
We are just blown away. It is so amazing. We are going to take them and run with them because we are so excited.
I can't imagine the designs that you can put on here with needle felting.
Oh my goodness. You could embroider, you could needle felt, you could 2D felt. Oh, you could do so many wonderful things.
Yes.
Super
So
cute.
this is coming soon.
Yep, and then
Thanks
the
to her.
actual pattern now, mind you, is twice the size of this.
Is that? Yeah, this
Yeah.
is bigger, much bigger.
Yep.
Which we can use on our clicker press and press out of our belt that we make here.
Yep. Yep. So it's perfect. And it's
So-
just a my favorite stitch. This little whip stitch.
She's all about whip
I'm all
stitch.
about, and it's like just the two sides
All you
that
do
need
is
to be
whip
whipped.
stitch.
Yeah, and then you put the stamp in, and then put your strap on.
maybe whip stitch that too.
Maybe you do.
And you don't even, like this, you wouldn't even have
Look
to
at
just
the dear
do
one. She's even sent this. Oh,
the little
God bless her.
So you wouldn't have to be limited to needle felting onto it. You could embroider
Yes.
the most amazing
Oh, you could.
designs.
Yep, absolutely. And you could, I don't know what it is, saddle stitch around the edge. That would be really cute.
No, there's another name.
Is it?
It's not saddle. Because
It's
it was what
you
I was
did
trying
around,
to tell
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And then
and
somebody
it's like
told
a
us.
whip stitch,
But it's not a whip stitch.
but it would look really
Somebody
cute.
told us the
It would
name
look
of
really
it.
cute.
And I was like,
Because you
that-
did it around your needle felting
I
case.
just didn't know the name of it.
Yeah. Hey, and what were you doing the last 2 days? I felt like I haven't seen Teresa for 2 weeks, but it's been like 2 days. You've
So
been away.
I left Sunday.
Yep.
And I came back on Tuesday today.
So like hardly any.
And we spent, it was my husband and I and a friend of mine since, I don't know, 7th grade. And her husband, who's been a friend of mine as well from high school. We were in Crosby, Minnesota.
Crosby. I used to motocross there. Anyway.
And so this is we've been there, this is the second time we've been there.
Yep.
And it's these little cabins that are on the edge of Crosby. And Crosby was like a dying town. The entire main street was like dead. There was nothing in any of the storefronts. And so there's all of these abandoned mines around the town.
The Iron Range.
The Iron Range, yes. So they were mining the iron, and somebody decided all these abandoned mines should be turned into trails. And so they made them into trails. So now you can bike on all these trails, you can hike, you can snowshoe, and it's
Cross-country ski, I suppose.
cross-country
Yeah.
ski. There's fat bikes, so you can bike in the winter, which we saw several doing, which is like, scary to me. But
Yeah.
it's become quite the little town now. It's just like started. There's so many restaurants right in Crosby. There is stores everywhere, and they said it just turned the city completely around, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome.
In a tiny little town
Yep.
in Minnesota where they thought, we're just mining.
I love it.
A dead mining town, and it turned completely
Very cool.
around.
Very cool.
We toured last fall. We toured some of the mines and things, and heard the entire story. And we rented bikes and went biking on some of these trails, which was pretty cool. And then we went back just this last weekend for snowshoeing, which was kind of fun.
Awesome.
And there's these cute little cabins there, and then we stay in them. And the whole south side of the cabin is windows, so you lay in bed and you can just see in the falling snow. It's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and the sauna. There's a sauna too, which last time Jeff and I went, we did not participate in the sauna, but with Jenny's influence, we used the sauna.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, anywho, but you're back now.
Back.
Yeah. And we have coming up, we are honored to have home ec teachers, which are not home ec teachers now. They're called FACS teachers, are coming, and we're going to be doing continuing education for them here at the school. And we are kind of excited about this.
Fiber arts.
Yes.
So we've been
Textiles.
we've been putting this whole entire plan together on what we can teach them, what our expertise is here at the.
Yep, what we know inside and out.
So they're coming to stay in all the rooms and
We'll
participate
wine
in
and
these
dine them
classes.
as well as pour on the education. It's going to be a pretty amazing weekend. So we will report next YouTube on this because we have many ideas on educational programming, curriculums for the classrooms, whether you're in South Carolina or Fargo, North Dakota. I mean, we can help you out, or you can come here and get your CE credits. So we're really excited about this. So, yeah, because this is what the Nome Schoolhouse is all about.
Yes.
Education. Yeah. Yes, so we'll report back on that.
How that all went.
How that all went, yes. And then...
Because we are a little bit nervous.
We are a little bit nervous, but we're not going to talk about that. So
No.
we're going to talk about dyeing brown, because we've been struggling with dyeing brown. And we have been researching, and what we decided right in front of our face was a longer simmer time to exhaust the dye completely out of the hot water bath, out of the pot, helps, and it does. Not all the time. I mean, we're still getting some errant colors, but for the most part, it really does help. So, even though the package says
Is it the
25
answer,
minutes, it might
could be more.
40 minutes. Yeah. Yep.
So have we got the perfect brown yet?
This question, Teresa I think you could talk for 3 hours on this. Well, I know you could talk for 3 hours on this, but popping up somewhere is the link to your story on how you started from when your daughter was 8 years old, right?
Yes.
And she wanted
it feels
to
like
learn.
I've told this story a million times, and I'm sure you've heard it. But we've had the question on, if Teresa could start from the beginning.
Yep.
When she got sheep and began raising sheep for wool for products. And it's such a long story. And we've told it several times, but
Well,
we can share it again.
Yeah, let's
because-
touch base.
so
Let's touch on it a little bit. So you started when? Okay, how many years ago was that? When Libby she's what, 25 now?
So she was it was her
8.
8th birthday, and so she asked for a lamb
Yeah.
for her birthday. And prior to that, we had discovered knitting, and we loved everything about knitting. I had an aunt that did a lot of fiber arts. And,
Linda.
Yes, and we did like a little homeschool field trip to her house, and we were very intrigued with possibly using our own, using wool instead of, what you can buy in the store. And so we were kind of intrigued by that. So then when she asked for a lamb, and a lot of people just laugh, and it's like, you really got her a lamb for her
Well, okay, to
birthday?
back up further, you were raised on a farm with many different types of animals.
Yes.
So you weren't, it wasn't like you were city folk that, okay,
no
we're going to, move to the country and have some sheep. I mean, which is awesome. Nothing
is
wrong with
great,
that, but
yes.
it wasn't quite the extent that you went through.
It wasn't like such a crazy idea.
Because you
for
already had
us.
cattle at the time, right?
We did have cattle. We had our son that was a little bit older was showing cattle. And when she asked for sheep, we thought, well, it'd be fun for them to raise sheep and show them as well. I grew up with sheep. I grew up with pigs, sheep, mostly cattle, and chickens. But I had been around sheep, and so it wasn't so frightening for me to say, yeah, let's do that. And part of me was like excited that she asked for that. And so then when we got her some sheep, we got her 2 lambs and me 2 lambs. And that's how it all started.
And her 2 lambs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And soon after that, my older son was like, can I have 2 lambs? So it just grew. It kept growing from there. They enjoyed showing sheep.
And you had Romney.
We chose Romney because of the wool that we could use for possibly spinning into yarn. We hadn't even heard of needle felting at that time. We didn't even know it existed.
This is how God works.
I know.
He knows.
And so when the lady that we bought the sheep from, she did some needle felting, and I remember she brought us into the house and showed us this thing that she had made. And I was like, I had never heard of it before, and it intrigued me. And so then she said, you should come to our Woolly Women. We get together every month, and it's a bunch of people that raise sheep or have raised sheep. We talk sheep, we do fiber arts. I was like, and they could teach you how to learn how to spin, and so I was intrigued for that, and I thought this would be good for Libby. So after we bought the sheep, we went to the first Woolly Women gathering, and Julie was teaching me how to spin, and Jan was teaching Libby how to needle felt at that first event. And when Libby came home, they sent her home, of course, with all of that she needed to continue, and we had some wool at home. So when she went to bed that night, I just grabbed up all of her stuff, her needles and the little cushion that they sent home, which was, I don't know, it was just a tiny little cushion, and started felting and just enjoyed it so much that, and then after that we continued to go to the Woolly Women events, and I continued needle felting, and Libby became frustrated with I was passing her in skill on the needle felting.
Never good, never good.
She wasn't impressed with that, so she just started knitting, which we had started together, and she took the knitting to the next level.
No.
She just continued.
Huge.
And thankfully, the Woolly Women really inspired her and encouraged her. She was like everybody's little grandchild. They loved her to death, and they were her biggest cheerleaders, and just any knitting that she did, and any questions that she had, they were there for her. And same for me. They were my biggest cheerleaders. And they had always done this, where they would demonstrate at different local events, and I was making things, needle felting, and I brought them, and I was needle felting while I was sitting there, and people started wanting to buy my sculptures, which was kind of flattering, and it's like, oh, that never even occurred to me. And so I continued to make things, and I sold a few things at some of these demonstrations that we were doing. And meanwhile, my husband, he worked 3 jobs. I was homeschooling the kids. I have 4 kids, and he was working 3 jobs to, pay the bills. And I had always known that I needed to do something on my end, but I still wanted to homeschool my children and be there for them. So I kind of knew in the back of my mind that it had to be an online sales kind of thing. And I had done some studying on that, and a lot through homeschooling, where I was trying to teach my kids about these things, and I was learning at the same time. And that's when I decided that, if I can sell these here, I could possibly sell them online. And so I researched Etsy and thought maybe I could sell some wool. That's where I was going to start, is just selling some wool, because I had that. And I just opened up an Etsy shop and started selling that. And then I had local people asking me to teach how to do this needle felting, and so I did some classes for 4-H groups on needle felting, and I thought, well, if I can put this together in a class, I could maybe put it together in a kit and sell it online, and then use my wool. Meanwhile, the flock was growing, because Casey, my oldest son, was interested, and my other kids were interested, and so they wanted sheep too, and they started showing them at our county fair. So we had more sheep, and then we started breeding those and growing our flock, and it just kept growing from there. Their experience at the county fair, though, was less than quality. Our local county fair is only for meat breeds. So when you show up with your wool breed, they kind of laugh you right out of the place.
Which is too bad.
Yeah. They thought our sheep were cute, and they thought what we were doing was cute. It was all pretty, cute little thing we were doing. And the kids would never win. And they would come home and say, Mom, can we get some Suffolk Can
I
we
mean,
please-
nothing against meat breeds, but
it's like, can I buy some Suffolk so that I can compete better at the county fair? And this continued. And there was one year that we had a judge at the fair that she realized that these were wool sheep. And she really talked about, so she put Libby at the top of her class, and she won. And she said something about the quality of the wool, and I was so shocked. And my husband was just visiting on the sidelines, and I was like, listen, see what's going on here. They're finally recognizing that our wool sheep have some value. And that was the first time that happened. And there was, I think, only one other year that happened where they did very well because they were judging them by the quality of their wool, where otherwise they were just going by, one thing. And we didn't shear them because why would we shear them? Because their wool is worth so much money to us. And the other meat breeds were all shorn. And so they would dock us for that. And they would dock the kids, and they were constantly coming back to me. I was like, well, we're not changing our views on this because this is important to us, the quality of the wool. So this was, it was a very
interesting,
good learning experience for the kids.
Yeah.
Where you don't always need to win. You need to stick up for what you think is important.
Yeah.
And there was one year where so they would never win showmanship because we didn't shear our sheep. And so they weren't all perfect in the way they looked. We would trim them to look very, very nice. And there was one year where Libby was determined, and she actually, the judge during showmanship came and asked her some questions. And I don't know if she grabbed him by the collar, but she was like, I'm going to tell you all about my sheep. And she told him all about the wool and the quality of wool and why we raise this wool and why you would want to raise this wool and how much money you can make with this wool. And she won the showmanship that year just because she just wouldn't let it go.
Yes.
Because and when he gave his reasons for why he chose her, he said, and this girl, she gave me an education.
I've never heard this. This is awesome.
And she's like, I am so tired of not winning. You need to know why these sheep are important.
Yeah.
And so it was a very big learning experience for the kids. And I got off on a tangent.
It's good. It's good tangent.
So,
because people get in ruts where they think they just, the wool isn't worth anything. We hear that all the time. The wool isn't worth anything, so why even, you have to shear them because it's detrimental to their health if you don't shear them. But the wool isn't worth anything, so and it's
and my kids heard that.
Not that fact,
especially especially Libby, their entire lives. So, and like I said, they wanted to compete. They wanted to be able to compete. Romneys are shorter, they're smaller, they don't grow as fast as Suffolks or any
Dorset,
or any of the other
Rambouillet
breeds that are typically shown at the county fair. And so they were determined to get the word out. We would go to the North Dakota Lamb and Wool Convention, and they would think we were cute, what we were doing.
Because they look like little bear cubs. And
but they didn't ever give us credit for this could make you money. And
so it's a pretty cool story that look where you are now.
It does make you money.
Yeah. And within, 2 years you were selling on Etsy?
Yes, I started selling. So Libby, in 2006, we got the sheep. We were increasing the flock. We fenced out this pasture. And I started selling on Etsy. I started putting together kits in 2008 after teaching the local 4-H groups how to needle felt. And I thought I could put this into kits. And I just started a couple kits in 2008. And then I really started researching the online selling and with social media marketing, and really learned everything that I could about that. And like I said, at the time, my husband was working 3 jobs to help get things, just paying the bills. And it had always been my goal to, do whatever I could do so he didn't have to work 3 jobs. But I also wanted to homeschool the kids, and he wanted that as well. and in 2008 is when I started selling, and it doubled. Every year it doubled. There was years that it tripled in what I was making, and he was my biggest cheerleader. Then the Woolly Women were wonderful, very, very proud, and it just kept growing every year from there on out. I kept adding kits. I added the supplies that you needed for needle felting, and I was kind of limited as to how I could add any more, because we were doing it all in our kitchen. My husband, who was able to go down to 1 job when he got home, was helping me, but he would much rather do that than work 3 jobs. And I remember the first year that we needed a dishwasher, and I was like, I'm going to put this money aside that I'm making and buy us a dishwasher. And so we did that. And then the next year, and I was very, very proud that, you got this dishwasher. And then the next year, I was like, maybe this money could go towards a family vacation, which we'd never been able to do. And so we went to Yellowstone, and that was all paid for. We stayed in a cabin. That was paid for by, what I made. And then after that, we decided that this is maybe something that's going to work for us. And so we put the money back into the business and just kept putting it back in until it was, my husband was able to just, work the 1 job and was quite comfortable. We were comfortable. Everything was going good. But we knew at the same time that we were doing everything in our house, in the basement. It was taking over our house. I don't know. I possibly have pictures of what my house looked like. Because I remember my sister was saying, "Oh, we're coming for Christmas." And I'm like, "Oh, you should see my house right now."
There's balls everywhere.
There's these wool balls drying here. There's other wool drying here. The whole house. And now we have cushions.
I don't know how you did it.
The foam cushions were in the kitchen, and we still needed to cut them up. The entire family was a part of the business. They were either spinning yarn for me to make the snowman hats and scarves, to cutting cushions. They were making the wool balls. They were helping in every way possible. And that's when, we were limited because we could only, people were asking, they wanted everything. They needed everything for needle felting. They were totally hooked on it. They'd bought my kits. They loved it. They just wanted the next thing. They wanted more wool colors. It's like, there's no way I can do that in my house. I don't have room to do it, and we don't have enough wool. We only have so many sheep, and which we were, since the get-go, had been saving every ewe lamb that we ever had. And we had been just growing. We had bought some ewes here and there, but we're growing as fast as we could, and it still wasn't enough. And that's when, Chris was processing my wool for me, and, I was just one of her customers. And then when I would, share with her how, this just happened, Etsy just featured me in this, and so I don't know how I'm going to keep up. Can you get this to me really fast? And so I would drop off the wool in Kindred, and she would try and get that to me as quickly as possible. And then the next time I stopped in, it's like, this thing just happened, can you? And I don't know how I'm going to get and so that she would just process the wool, and then I would get it, and I would dye it in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And my husband Jeff got really good at dyeing too.
Yeah.
And I was doing all the other things, developing the kits and packaging orders, and he was helping me keep up with the dyeing. And it was, that's when it was, we knew it was growing, it was getting bigger. And
Yeah. Oof.
Oh, it was getting bigger. So then we developed the cushion together. And that's when we knew that there needed to be, if we were going to grow at all, we needed to do something. And that's when I partnered with Chris.
And good grief.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been amazing. And, just developing a niche market. And I'd heard about that all the way through anything I'd learned about online sales, online marketing, social media marketing, is to develop a niche. And so that's what we have with needle felting. That just focusing on the one thing has really, really helped, and to make that the best that it can be. Because when we partnered, I was telling Chris that, I think I got the social media marketing down. I think we could sell gobs of yarn. But it turns out that I had niched down my market so well to needle felting that they weren't very interested in yarn. And
Which is fine.
yes. And so, but it just further cements the idea that once you have this market and
You go with it. You
just
go with what you have.
keep going and making that better and better and better. And that's, a very important thing that I've learned is just keep going.
It's kind of like going into a restaurant and they hand you a menu with 5 different pages of everything. And it's
Yeah,
like
it
you don't
blows your
even know
mind.
what to order, because rather than they hand you a menu that you open up and it's just
They're very, very good at these 5 different things. And you can trust that they're very good at that.
exactly. And it's like, all right, narrows it down. Boom, I want that, and off you go. Yeah. And it kind of focuses us into, we do beautiful yarn for the customers that come here generally.
And we're still hoping to build that.
Yeah, it's tough to compete with the indie dyers that are importing the yarn and dyeing it and reselling it and all of that, whereas we are actually processing it ourselves. And
We're working on the yarn still.
we're working on it. But you come here, we have beautiful yarns for you. But we need to focus on what's selling right now, and that's the
needle
kits
felting
and the
kits
needle felting
and
wool
supplies.
and-
So, and our questions were mainly how we can help other people starting businesses and things. And so that would be my biggest help that I have is, if you have a niche,
Go with it.
Continue and just stay in that and do your very, very best at that one thing, and it will work. It will definitely work. Don't try and do too many things.
Right.
Because you'll just spread yourself too thin, and if you just focus on the one thing, which is
You can diversify later.
yes, and that's what we are continuing to do. We're trying to just build that as much as we can, and then any interests that we can develop along the sidelines, we're going to market to them as well.
Absolutely.
So that's a little, that was, maybe more involved. I don't know.
But
About
I said Teresa could talk for hours on this question, but yeah, it's because it's huge. It's pivotal. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband was able to quit his job at the place he didn't like working, and get a different job. And soon he'll be able to retire because of what we have built on the side.
Absolutely.
With needle felting.
And it's not on the side. It's
really not on the side.
no, it's from the center. Yeah.
Yes, and he's he's been very supportive from the beginning. He had no idea that this was going to maybe help him
Retire.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's been
Good stuff.
been very supportive, and that's why he has been supportive of this whole school, because he believes that I can do it. So
Absolutely.
it's been amazing.
It's pretty cool.
I wonder if our pizza's done.
Yeah. Okay, our question, we did not get the question answered last week because our sound died, which you may or may not have noticed in the end of the YouTube.
These
That
little
our
gadgets.
mouths were moving, but our
Batteries.
sound was not working quite
Batteries
right.
died.
Yeah. So anywho, we're going to go up now and do our little craft, because we did a little craft that we want to show you what we did. I forgot to do this. Yeah. Okay. All right. That was cool. That was fun. And we have another idea for another lampshade for another YouTube.
Yeah, since
Somebody mentioned we're the
lampshade ladies,
Which
so
might be true.
we came up with another lampshade idea.
We did. So if you want to come to a class here, you better get on it, because they're kind of
Filling up.
filling up and selling out. Praise God. We love it. We've got, oh my goodness, just a few. Oh, we have basket weaving on Sunday the 5th, which has several openings.
A few.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So if you want to weave a super cute basket, that would be the day to
The
do
Bison
it.
Felting class on
Has a
March
few.
11th has a few left. Spinning on a spinning wheel is
Nope.
totally
Oh, the sewing
Full.
classes.
sewing
March
classes.
11th and
There's room in
12th.
those.
Those
There's
are
kids
really cool.
sewing classes as
Or
well as
beginners.
adults.
Yep. And she's bringing the sewing machines. You don't even need the
She's
sewing
bringing
machines.
everything.
Yeah.
All you need to do is come.
Amazing.
Flower Power with Jean Hanlon. That's
That
the
will be
felting, the retreat
super
that
cute.
we had talked about a lot.
Yep.
And how
This is 2D
successful it
felting.
was.
Yep,
and
2D felting.
Amazing. And she's offering another one. That's coming up the 17th through the 19th. Then we have something that I don't know.
We have a fun in the fiber mill, which
Okay.
I have scheduled, and I have the whole kit and caboodle done. But I've been really busy working on the
Something. And she
Yeah.
hasn't given me the information, so I haven't listed it.
Yeah.
It's a fun in the
So
fiber
that-
mill, which is
yeah.
coming up very
we're
soon
gonna
in
do fun
March
in
or
the fiber mill.
later,
It'll be fun.
depending on when I get it up there.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
We have a stained glass classes. 2 out of the 3 are full. So hurry up.
Yes, just the evening class has spaces left.
And then there's the Taste of Fiber is full.
Nope.
Writer's
Writer
Retreat.
full.
Are you sure it's full? I don't
No.
know. I don't know.
I think I heard
We're
it's
not in
full.
charge of that one, so we don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it's full.
Check that out. That's coming here to
How's
the
your
Nome
needle
Schoolhouse.
felting
There
safari going?
is, I think, one.
One spot left.
Yeah, I hope you can come.
That'll be so much fun.
We'd love to have you. And then every first Sunday of the month is Maker's Day here at the Nome Schoolhouse. You
Starting March
can-
5th.
Yes, so you can get tickets at gnomeschoolhouse.com, and you can come join us. We are going to have staff available to help you with any projects that you're working on involving the fiber arts. So if you bought a kit and you don't know how to start, I will be here. If you're knitting and you ran into a problem, Libby will be here. If you're weaving, you just want to start weaving, you don't have any clue, we have a weaver, Gail, that will help you. And spinning, Chris and I are going to give our best effort on helping
will.
you figure out learning how to spin on a spinning wheel.
Yeah,
So that's
so-
Maker's Day. That's every first Sunday of the month
But you need,
from 1 to 5 in the afternoon.
and you need to go in and buy a ticket.
Yes. So we
that
know how many.
how many are coming.
And we also would like to know what you need help with.
Yes.
So that we can make sure that that person is here to help you.
But it's it's $10, and then you trade it in for a credit
Food or
in the.
snacks or anything in the store.
And we got to get through this week of blizzards, and you're watching us on Saturday, so we've made it through, and I think we're
And I'm
out of
still
them.
alive.
And, yeah, and I think we're all still good.
What if I'm not?
Bite your tongue, woman. Does anybody else delight in untangling things? Like, okay, we won a trip, me and my husband won a trip to Spain, and it was like a 9-hour plane ride. It was horrible. But do you know what I brought to occupy my time is 2 necklaces that had gotten so tangled together and a ball of yarn that was like a disaster. And that's what, it took me like 4 or 5 hours, but it was so much fun. Does anyone else delight in that? Taking the mangled, and currently I'm working on a skein of yarn that I used to have a yarn store at the mill prior to me. I only had it for like a year, and then I decided I needed the space for milling equipment, and I got rid of it. But one of my puppies went in and grabbed a skein of yarn, it was Icelandic Surrey, and ran away with it, and I'm chasing her around the farmyard trying to catch her. And by the time I got the skein of yarn back from her, it was pretty mangled. And I just found it again, and I'm going to make it into a ball, and it's a disaster. And I'm having fun untangling the mess.
So it's funny that you should have patience to do that. And
I
you
do.
have patience to.
I don't have patience. It's very odd.
It's weird.
It's very odd. Does anyone else delight in that? I'm just curious. I don't know. It's fun. It's like a puzzle.
I don't delight in this. I would rather make something that took like 17 hours than do that.
I know. Isn't that
I know,
odd?
it's weird.
It is weird. But, you know, I've never said I was normal. So, on that note, God bless you all for joining us.
That's all, folks. I'm not screaming this time.